This 17 News at Noon podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Well, good day. I'm Elena Rusk, and in a video speech to Congress this morning, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said he is grateful for the U.S.'s help against invading Russian forces, but he pressed for more. He says they need more military aid to combat Russian warplanes. They need more punishment for Russia's politicians and economy. And he called on President Biden directly for help.
Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace.
All right, so far the United States has worked with other Western and allied nations to impose what are jointly some of the toughest sanctions ever leveled against a country, including sanctions against financial institutions and systems, bans on much of its international trade, and individual sanctions targeting many of the defense officials, civilian leaders, and oligarchs. Now, after the address, Congressman Kevin McCarthy called President Zelenskyy's comments, quote, very powerful.
When you think about what President Biden should do, I think there's a bipartisan movement right here. Provide them the MiGs. Provide them the planes where they can create a no-fly zone. Provide them the armament that they need to continue to fight a war that they did not create. I thought the video was one of the most moving moments in there. Made the case of the murdering of innocent people, that war crimes are being committed, that America and the world cannot sit by and ignore. We need to put a stop to this. And I think greater pressure, greater armament, and why the MiGs were not provided weeks ago, as many of us requested, put them at a disadvantage.
Now, President Biden then came to the podium, formally announcing his administration will send an additional $800 million in military assistance to Ukraine.
In fact, we started our assistance to Ukraine before this war began. We took the threat of Putin invading very seriously, and we acted on it. We sent Ukraine more security assistance last year, $650 million in weapons, including anti-air and anti-armor equipment, before the invasion.
All right, so meanwhile, here at home, our local law enforcement are stepping up to provide supplies for those fighting in Ukraine. The Kern County Sheriff's Office says it will be donating 68 decommissioned bulletproof vests to the people of Ukraine. The announcement was made yesterday by Supervisor Mike Maggard during the Board of Supervisors meeting.
Hello, this is Tim Callahan with Clinica Sierra Vista, and we're excited to unveil the Community Health Center of the Future, our comprehensive care center. It's located right across the street from Memorial Hospital. We have every service under one roof, from family medicine, OBGYN care, dental services for adults and children, behavioral health, and much more. So find your way to better care at Clinica Sierra Vista this year at our comprehensive care center. Visit our website, clinicasierravista.org, for the latest on this project. We'll see you soon.
All right, so let's head now to some news from around the world. Japan had a 7.3 magnitude earthquake just a few hours ago. Renowned seismologist Dr. Lucy Jones says this is the world's first quake of a magnitude greater than 7 for the year, tweeting, quote, located off the coast of Japan at a depth of about 60 kilometers, I would call it an aftershock of 2011, but some seismologists might disagree. Aftershock is a semantic term to describe relationships between quakes, my argument in this thread. She goes on to say an aftershock is a smaller quake that follows a big event in nearby time and space. Quote, so defined by place, time, and magnitude, the magnitude 7.3 is smaller than 2011's 9.1. The place at a down dip edge of the 2011 rupture surface, and the time 11 years later. Why? She then says an event is an aftershock that as long as the rate of which earthquakes are occurring is higher than it was before the main shock. For great earthquakes, this can be decades or more. The 1898 magnitude 8 from Omori defined aftershocks that were still following its decay pattern 100 years later. And now to a 17 News Court Watch exclusive. A defense motion was granted this morning ordering prosecutors to turn over information gathered in the case against Trezell and Jacqueline West, but redact material that would violate medical privacy laws. Prosecutors have said the West's youngest adopted sons, Oren, aged 4, and Orson, aged 3, were killed 3 months before they were reported missing by their parents. Their bodies have not been found. A prosecutor today acknowledged the defense lawyers were entitled to the discovery and said it will be provided. The prosecutor said, quote, a voluminous amount of material has been gathered, which the district attorney's office is uploading to a digital format. He estimated it's the equivalent of 200 to 300 gigabytes of data. A new motions date in the case is set for Tuesday. And new here on 17 News at Noon, we are learning detectives from the Bakersfield Police Department's Vice Unit participated in a statewide decoy shoulder tap operation this weekend. Under the program, a person under the age of 21 who is under direct supervision of a peace officer stood outside a liquor or convenience store and asked shoppers to buy them alcohol. The underage person indicates in some way that he or she is underage and cannot purchase the alcohol themselves. Of the 36 people contacted by the minors, 2 people provided minors the alcohol and were cited by the BPD. All right, so spring begins on Sunday, and most Americans' least favorite part of the season is springing forward with the beginning of daylight saving time. Well, the time change could soon be a thing of the past. The U.S. Senate unanimously approved a bill yesterday called the Sunshine Protection Act, which, if enacted, would mean Americans could stay on daylight saving time permanently, no more changing the clocks. Supporters say the change would help enable children to play outdoors later and reduce seasonal depression during those earlier winter sunsets. The House still must pass the bill before it can go to the president for a signature. All right, and now to the latest look at COVID-19 case numbers here in our community. Today, Kerr County Public Health reports 236 new positive cases and 8 new deaths attributed to the virus. State data shows 49 patients hospitalized in Kern County with this virus and 10 in intensive care units. That is 2 less than yesterday. And now to some headlines making news around the nation. Disney workers are planning walkouts during their breaks every day this week to protest the CEO's slow response in publicly criticizing Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay legislation. The group of Disney employees said this week on their website that the active protest will culminate next Tuesday with a walkout by LGBTQ workers and their supporters at Disney work sites here in California, in Florida, and elsewhere. The Florida bill bars instruction on, quote, sexual orientation or gender identity in kindergarten through grade 3. It has been sent to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is expected to sign it. And in lighter headlines, Starbucks has announced they will be moving to use of communal coffee cups. Yeah, that's shared coffee cups, but they've kind of been doing this for a while. The company says that by the end of next year, customers will be able to use their own personal cups or be able to use one that they have in the store, and they'll be asked to bring it back on their next visit. It's an effort to reduce costs and waste from disposable cups. The company's single-use cups account for 20% of its global waste. Starbucks says it has a broader goal to cut its waste and carbon emissions from direct operations in half by 2030 as it aims to become resource positive one day. By 2025, Starbucks wants all customers to have easy access to reusable cups provided by the company or those that they bring from home.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.